Say hello,
Hello.
good morning,
Good morning.
welcome to our day.
Welcome to our day.
Yes!
Hi guys, it is currently 7:30 in the evening, and we thought that for the vlog today that it would be really cool to have me do a video with you guys talking about what it's like being a carer, because we've touched base on it a few times in other videos, but we've not really spoken about it like just one-on-one together on our own. So first of all, if you hear some really weird noises, Charlie is currently, that's her butt, she's currently asleep behind me. So that's what that is. But, so, first of all, I just want to say that for those of you who are new to the vlog and don't know, I am Charlie's carer, full time, and I'm classified as an unpaid carer, because although I get carer's allowance from the government, I'm a relative and a family member, and that classifies me as an unpaid carer, whereas if Charlie was to get the money for carer's allowance and then pay for someone to come in to be caring for her, then that would be a paid carer. So yeah, so there's that. So I thought that I'd just clarify sort of that bit initially, because sometimes people don't understand what the difference is between a paid carer and an unpaid carer, and they think that the carer's allowance means that I'm a paid carer, when it's not, that it doesn't work out like that. But anyway, so there's just like, I was just going to talk a bit about what it's like being a carer, and a few things that for me personally that I often think about or have to take into consideration that you might not have to if you're not a carer for someone. And I was also going to give a few tips for that we tend to use if we go to appointments and things. Yeah, so I'm going to get on with it. I will at some point probably ramble a little bit, as I already have, because it can be difficult sometimes to talk about. But me and Charlie are married, for those of you who don't know. We are wives. We have been married for almost 5 years. It'll be 5 years in November. And Charlie has not, for as long as I've known her, she's had disabilities, but she's not always been in a wheelchair. So when we met, I was living with my parents in Cornwall, and she lived with her mum in Bridgewater. And we met online, and on her online profile she said that she had really shitty asthma, so she didn't think that she would find someone who would want to be with her. So we met, and we were talking for a long time, and then we met in person, and we just hit it off straight away. And I knew nothing about Charlie's type of asthma, which is brittle asthma, which, for those of you who don't know, you can have asthma and need an inhaler if you get puffed, and you can have minor asthma attacks and things like that. But with Charlie, it's a case of she needs extensive treatment every day, and asthma attacks that she does have are uncontrolled and life-threatening. So, obviously, when we did meet, her lungs were bad, but they weren't as bad as what they are now because she wasn't on oxygen or anything. So we met, and yes, Charlie did have some disabilities, but she was still walking. She was not as disabled, if you like, for like, because I can't think of a better way to put that. She didn't have as many disabilities as she does now, and so our relationship hit off, and we fell in love and everything, and we decided to get married. And then just after we were married, Charlie had a really bad attack and ended up not being able to. I see a leg. I think her leg was hot. But yeah, Charlie had a really bad asthma attack and ended up in a comatose, like a catatonic state, which is basically her body just decided it needs to sort of focus just on keeping her alive so she wouldn't wake up and everything like that. We've spoken about that before. So newly married, newly moved into our own house, and all of these things started happening, and obviously it was terrifying. It's so scary, like for anyone you love, whether it's a friend, whether it's another relative, parent, sister, brother, whatever, grandparent. If somebody ends up unwell, it's terrifying. Now before we got married, Charlie had some asthma attacks and had to go to hospital. So in some ways, I was prepared for this sort of thing early on, but it hadn't happened, like, I wasn't completely prepared. I didn't know exactly what was going to happen and things like that. So when she ended up unresponsive, that was one of the worst moments of my life, because I thought that my wife was not coming back. Dixie? No. But yeah, so I thought my wife wasn't coming back to me. And then after that, her mental health went really downhill, and she was taken to a mental health hospital where she had to try and come to terms with the fact that she couldn't walk anymore. And that it took 6 months for them to release her. During that time, I was home on my own for the first time in my life. It was horrific because I was used to somebody being there every single day, and I had Dixie, which was great. I don't think I could have done it without Dixie, but obviously going from getting married, moving into your first home together. Well, we lived together with my parents, but moving into our first actual home, just ourselves together as a couple. And then within the next month of that happening, her being sectioned in a mental health hospital, it's a hell of a lot in one go. And it's a lot of stress and stuff that people don't have to deal with. So for a while, it was a case of, can we even, how is this even going to work? But, I mean, I knew from word go that Charlie's health could deteriorate. We didn't know how, but I knew that like her lungs could get worse. So I married Charlie knowing that her health could go downhill, and I don't think, in my opinion, you should marry someone unless you're prepared for that, because when you enter a marriage, you're vowing to be married to them for the rest of your life, in sickness and in health, and that is extremely important that you take that really seriously, because especially if you do stay with each other for the rest of your lives, at some point, at some point you're going to get ill or you're going to get old, and there are going to be health issues somewhere along the line that are going to happen. So I married Charlie knowing that that could happen, obviously, and I knew that even though this had happened extremely quickly and we were struggling because we were both depressed, I was obviously depressed and anxious because of the fact that I was suddenly on my own. The love of my life, my gorgeous wife, was no longer around for 6 months. I mean, I could visit her like every now and again, but I couldn't drive at this point, so I couldn't go and see her every day like I would have wanted to. And throughout that time, Charlie continually was so depressed and so low that she kept trying, even in the mental health hospital, to commit suicide. Which even to this day is really hard to deal with. And she knows it's hard to deal with, but at the same time, it's difficult because I've felt like that before. So I know where she's coming from to some extent. But on the other hand, I'm her wife, and I kind of just wish that I could just stop that from happening. But obviously there was nothing I could do. She had to come to terms with it on her own, and all I could do was be there to support her, which is what I did. Since that, she came home, and obviously we've moved house, we've got an elbow, and we've tried to extend our family, etc., as you guys know. And throughout all of this, Charlie's health just keeps getting worse, which, again, we were prepared for, but it doesn't make it any easier. There are a lot of things in day-to-day life that are stressful. It is extremely stressful being a carer for someone that you love. I mean, you have all of the, particularly with Charlie being my wife, you have your wife relationship, or your husband relationship, whatever, your partner relationship, and then you've got the aspect of a caring relationship. So, whereas two completely healthy people who get married would just have they'd have their intimate moments, they'd have their job moments potentially, so they would have time away from each other throughout the day, and they would take care of their own personal hygiene, for example, and it's things like that. So there are things that you can do for yourself, but with Charlie, although she can do a lot of things for herself, there are some times that she needs that help, and I'm the person to do it, and I don't mind doing it, because I love her, and I'd much rather be helping her myself than getting some stranger in to help her who can't be there all the time, when with Charlie's conditions she doesn't need help like for an hour in the morning and for an hour in the evening. She needs someone to be there 24/7, which is where I come in. But yeah, so there are a lot of stress factors. We argue exactly the same as a normal couple. I say normal, but you guys know what I mean. We argue, we disagree, we can't stand each other sometimes, and that's completely fine, because we know that we still love each other and that we still... Well, Dixie, stop trying to wake Mummy up, like I'm here. And we know that we will always be there supporting each other. So there are some things, like there are things I've got to think about every day. So every time Charlie goes to sleep, I'm thinking, will she be okay? Because of the fact that sometimes when Charlie does go to sleep, she ends up in sleep paralysis, which, while she's in that moment, is terrifying for her. And I can help her get around from that. If I'm aware of it. So if I get really tired and feel like I need to nap, I've got to weigh up whether I think that me napping to try and up my energy level is more like is okay compared to the risks of if Charlie's gonna dissociate or go into sleep paralysis. And I think about that every single time she goes to sleep and every single time I'm going to sleep. So I know that if she's really not feeling well, unless I am feeling so unwell that I actually cannot stay awake, or that I'm that exhausted that I literally keep falling asleep sitting up, I just won't nap. I will not do it. If Charlie's in the hospital, if we have to take her to the hospital for an emergency, I don't sleep until I know that she is either in intensive care, if she needs that place, getting her treatment, or that she's on a ward getting the appropriate treatment. And I've got to fight her corner, because at that time she can't speak because she's so focused on trying to breathe. So there's a lot of not sleeping and a lot of tiredness and things like that as well. We have to, there is a lot of times throughout the day as well that we have to, thank you, Pickle. Sorry guys, she's really distracting me. She's just literally stood there see if she'll, just, thanks. Dixie, no, come here. She really wants to wake Charlie up. Why don't you come and sit on my lap, look? Oh, that'll do. Good girl. Well done. Anyway, back to it. I can't just surprise Charlie with a day out or with a holiday, because not only do we not have the income to do that unless it's through a grant that I get for being Charlie's carer, I can't just plan a day out and have it be a surprise to her, because physically she might not be able to do it and emotionally she might not be able to do it. So with a couple who don't have any disabilities or anything like that, you might be able to just pick up and go on holiday, or pick up and go to the beach. We can't go to the beach because Charlie can't get to the beach. We've been to the beach once. Good girl. Once since Charlie's been in the wheelchair, and that was when we were on holiday and the sand was so wet that it was kind of solid, but I still had to like heave her wheelchair out of the sand because she got stuck. But yeah, I mean, I've got to do her meds and stuff, which is something that I always have to think about as well. And with that sort of thing, it can be really stressful because with some medications they give you enough for 4 weeks, but some medications it's like a month and they can have like 31 in there and stuff, so things run out at different times, you need different doses and things at different times of the day, so that can be really difficult and really stressful. And if something runs out and it runs out too soon and then it falls on a weekend or a bank holiday, then Charlie can't have a medication, and then obviously that's on me that she can't have that medication. So I've got to try and make sure that that's sorted. I mean, thank you, baby girl. Some people have like sort of said, wondered like how, like, why at my age, because I'm 25, why am I still with Charlie given the lifestyle that we have to live because of Charlie being disabled the way she is, and because of her future and our future together being so uncertain. And yes, that's a valid point, but when you love someone as much as I love Charlie, not being with them is so heartbreaking that you just like, I can't think of anything worse than not being with Charlie. And yeah, I know that we have a lot of stress in our lives, and yes, I know that there's nothing to say that Charlie will be here tomorrow. She might end up having a really bad asthma attack tonight and she might be gone. Friggin' hope not. But these things can happen. But then at the same time, I could walk up to Tesco's and get hit by a drunk driver. Or I could have a heart attack and die, or a brain aneurysm and die. These things can happen. Anybody could die at any particular moment in time. And it's terrifying, and I hate it, and I always sort of say to her, no, you're not leaving me. But I know that at one point, one of us is going to die before the other one. Because unless we have a massive car accident or something, and we both die at the same time. But that's life. People die. Unfortunately, people die. So you kind of just got to look at it. I would rather spend what life we can together than to spend it apart, basically. Like, if Charlie was to die in 10 years, I want us to be together for these 10 years. I don't want to not be with her because I love her so much. Like, what's the point in leaving her, which would cause both of us heartbreak, and just, I don't even know how to fathom when people are just like, why are you still with her? Well, because I married her and promised her a life together because I love her and she is my person. So that's kind of where I'm getting at with that. What else? See, I'm just trying to think of what else people have said to us. Kids. that's a good one. Some people have said and continue to say, why do we want children together when Charlie's health is so bad and she might not live for very long? Well, again, I want our lives together to be as full as possible, and so does Charlie. We love each other and we want a family together, so we will have a family together. That's just how it is. We're not gonna not have a family just because Charlie might not live as long as the average person does. It might sound selfish, but in this day and age, with all of the crime and the hate and the violence and everything, it's kind of selfish for anyone to have a child, realistically. So we want children, so we will have children. Or at least we will try our darndest to have them anyway. So, some hospital tips that we try to use. So when we've got a day of appointments or even just one hospital trip and we know that it's going to take the whole day away from us, there are some things that you can do that might help. For example, make sure that you take enough water or other drinks that don't have to be refrigerated. Taking a milkshake with you isn't the best idea because after a few hours that's not going to be that great, but taking water or squash or even a fizzy drink with you, you need to take enough fluid that you can sip at. So cans aren't the best because there are a lot of rooms in hospitals and things that you can't drink in, so you need to put your drink away. So I suggest taking bottles with you. Definitely take something to eat with you if you're going to the hospital for an appointment. A lot of hospital appointments are going to be delayed. Realistically, the appointments that the appointment times that they give you in hospitals are never long enough for you, and they're never long enough, and they always generally run over because you can't ever predict the different communications and things that are going to happen between someone and their doctor. So something else might come up which might take longer conversation, and so you probably will get hungry at some point. It's probably a good idea to take some kind of snack food, whatever you're interested in. You could take banana, apples, you could take little like a bag of mini crackers or something. Just take some things that you can pick at, or something that is easy to eat. It's not the best idea in our personal experience to take something like a big pot of pasta salad or something, because unless you've got an appointment like in the morning and then you've got lunchtime free and then you've got another appointment in the afternoon/evening, chances are you're not going to have a chance to sit down and eat something like that, and it can be messy and it's just not very helpful. So make sure you take snack food at least and plenty to drink. Leave loads of time spare, because especially if you need a disabled parking space, they get booked up and taken so quickly. So if you need to park in a disabled space, we tend to leave at least an hour earlier than we would have to if we could just park in like a normal multi-storey car park, because you need to allow yourself time to be able to park in a parking space that is like liquid gold, really. So there's that. What else? If you're in receipt of benefits, always keep a benefit letter in your car, because if you can claim back travel money, the last thing you want to do is get there and realise that you don't have your benefit letter with you, because then, especially if you're in a situation like us where you have to pay for your fuel and everything to get you to your appointment, and then you get the money back, you might need the rest of the money, the money that they're giving you back. You might need to get more fuel with that, and you're entitled to that money. So always make sure you keep a benefit letter in the car. For long journeys, keep any important medications in the car with you as well, or have a little bag set up with the important medications that you can just grab your bag and go if needs be. I think I'll leave it there. Charlie's probably going to have to chop a few bits out of this, because there are definitely some bits where I'm just sat here like, But yeah, it's quite hard. I always find it quite hard to talk to people about being a carer, because unless they ask very specific questions and I answer that very specific question, it's my life. So it's like, this is just my life. It's not abnormal to me. So it's not like, so if somebody was to come along and say, oh God, what's it like being a carer? I would just be like, oh, okay. Because as I said, this is my life. It's just how our life is together. I don't really, like, I don't know what our relationship would be like if Charlie wasn't disabled, because that's not the case. That's not what the hand that we were dealt. But yeah, so it's difficult. But if you have any questions, like any questions at all, feel free to ask, because chances are I will be more than happy to answer. If you're unsure of whether it's an appropriate question, just ask it. Because, or like, worst case scenario, we'll just be like, we were asked this question, or we were asked a question that was a bit inappropriate and we don't really feel comfortable answering that. So that's fine, but yeah, so if you've got any questions, ask, and I think we'll leave it there. And I will say goodnight to you guys, because Charlie's still sleeping and she's not feeling well, so she's probably going to be sleeping for a while. But yeah, so thank you for coming on this little chat with us, well, with me and the girls anyway, and we'll see you tomorrow. So good night, everyone.